You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live This Week, featuring news and commentary on This Week in Black Hollywood. Black Hollywood Live. Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live This Week, Derrial Christon.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You're watching Black Hollywood Live This Week. I am your host, Derrial Christon. Joining me today is DJ Jessie J.
What's up?
The beautiful Courtney Stewart.
Yeah, I'm beautiful today.
You are beautiful today.
Girl, you beautiful every day. Thank you.
We have some additional beauty in the studio today. Two beautiful women. We have Dr. Keisha Downey from VH1's Couples Therapy.
Hey.
And we have Mitchenor from the hit movie from Spike Lee, Chirac.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good.
Thank y'all for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We are excited. It's Thursday, and you know it's almost the end of the week, and we are about 10 to 11 days in our detox from
our detox, guys, we're still in it.
We're still in it. We're still doing it. We're still doing it. We're still staying strong.
Thank God for text messages.
Yes, thank you for the text messages.
They walked me off a boat yesterday.
Walked him off a cliff.
That's what it is.
I
might need to join in.
We got all the information for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got a great show today. A lot of topics, including Erykah Badu throws some shade at Iggy Azalea. Trump again. Trump announces his plan for Muslims. Lee Daniels creates a new pilot with Queen Latifah. And new research says that scientists are saying that addiction is not a disease, which is very interesting. But first, we are going to talk about the buzzer-meter question today, which is what, Jesse? You have that information?
Boom! The buzzer-meter question is, do y'all feel that Erykah Badu was a little too shady to Iggy Azalea? Let us know.
Let us know. We'll read those results next week. But we'll start off with our topics with DJ Jessie J.
And that's the topic we're going to start with. So, obviously, we all saw the Soul Train Awards, right?
It was amazing.
It was really good. A lot of great performances.
It was like one of the best award shows I've seen in a while.
It is, right.
Everyone was on. They sounded good. The talent was superb.
Babyface.
And I really feel like Erykah Badu...
That Babyface tribute.
You killed it.
And that Soul Cypher.
Come on now.
But I feel like a lot of that had to do with allowing Erykah to be a part of creating the show. Having an artist being able to kind of create an award show that they go to every year and they think, well, you know what, they aren't really representing the artist. So I thought that was really cool. However, you know, at the beginning, she had a situation where she made fun of Iggy Azalea and basically said she's not a rapper. That's why she could come to the Soul Train Awards, because what she does definitely isn't rap. So Iggy clapped back and very, very gracefully and said, I guess people are still worried about my accomplishments 2 years ago. And we thought that was the end of it. Well, so I love watching Erykah. I love watching Erykah's Twitter because she does these like little videos.
She's the best Twitter.
Yeah,
She's pretty amazing.
I've seen her with her son, with her kids as well. So
and she does like little motivating thing, like conversations to her fans and whatnot, or just what's going on in her life. But she came out to say. One video that she apologized to Iggy Azalea because her daughters were such big fans and they were mad at her, and she wanted to apologize because maybe it was a little too harsh. And I was like, wow, this is really big of Erykah Badu to do something like that, especially her, a staple in hip-hop. And then, where I thought the apology was going to end, it went on to, and you know what? Since Iggy Azalea is so good, why don't she take you to school? Why don't she care about your grades? Why don't she do
Go be with her then.
Go be with her.
Right.
Wow.
So I was like, damn, Erykah. Like, this personal?
This was all on Twitter?
Girl.
Yeah.
And so then...
Wow.
I mean, I've been like side-eyeing Iggy for a year and a half now, but I gotta say, Iggy won this one. So she wrote a letter and posted it on Twitter and wrote,
Oh, wow.
Dear Miss Badu, tell the girls I'm a fan of Mom. And if this year they do well in school and they get B's and A's, I'm going to have a tour next year with all new music. They are more than welcome to come to the show, backstage treatment on me, only if they do well in school.
Wow.
Thanks a lot. And then ended it like
But see, I felt
That
like
was good.
It was good, but I kind of felt, I kind of felt it was a little whack though,
extra,
because
yeah.
this is why. Because then it's like, how do you come back and go after her after she put something about school and kids?
Yeah, no,
You
but
know
that's
what
why
I
she
mean?
did it.
I know, but I'm
She
like,
did it.
I
I'm like,
think it's
come on.
corny on Erykah's behalf to do that. You're apologizing and you're a grown woman, and you're sitting here talking about you're this respected woman in hip hop, and you don't like Iggy Azalea because she's not respecting hip hop. So here you are as a mother, first of all. This is the example you want to set for your daughters. Like, you're apologizing and then you're still throwing shade. I don't know. I just looked at it like
Maybe that's a
I'm
way of
serious
just,
take
you
on
know,
it.
if she would
Why
have
do
just
the
ended
apology?
it right then and there, it would have been the end of it. But sometimes people do things to seek more attention, kind of keep the things kind of going.
well,
it just,
her
it
album
just
did
depends.
get #1 on the R&B.
I don't
There
know.
you
I
go.
don't know though, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, Erykah Badu's an entertainer. Okay,
Right.
so it's no different from these comedians. Everyone's talking about Bill Cosby,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And that is a very serious subject. I think she was just hosting the awards. I think she was just being entertaining, and I think she was just going with entertainment.
you.
And I'm a huge Erykah Badu fan, so it's
Absolutely.
like if you look at her interviews, you know, on the Breakfast Clubs and things like that, she's not taking any of this serious.
No,
like
yeah.
she's just, you know, she's just being Erykah Badu. She's just being an entertainer and being fun. And I just think everyone's like, ooh, the shade. And it's like she's being a host. Every host that hosts anything always got something to say about the entertainers in the business.
But then
and
why
everybody
come
in the
back and
business.
do it though? Like, why the
Because
second
it blew
one?
up so much.
it was like,
everywhere
well,
on
since
Twitter. She was
everyone's
like,
with
"Everybody
it,
got
I'ma
something to
just
say
keep
about
going with it."
I'ma
Like,
joke, play the joke out.
yeah, and I think honestly, just thinking of Erykah Badu, she's probably like, since everyone is just getting such a kick of this, I'm gonna just keep it going. Why
Yeah.
not? Since it's such a big thing, let's just be honest though. Iggy Azalea does do pop music, so
Right.
what she said, it's not like she was lying.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I love that Iggy actually. I'm sorry. The ending of Iggy's thing said, "And can we please just get over this since they're having such a hard time filing my music in their iTunes folder."
Right. She did say
Wow.
that. She did say that.
So she sounds like she snapped back.
And
Yeah.
honestly, what I want to come out of this is a sit down between Erykah and Iggy and have.
Do you think that's really going to
No,
happen?
why do we even need that though?
What?
Oh, to work
Y'all-
on music together?
No, I want them to sit down and have a conversation culturally. I think that would be important. I don't think anyone sat down and
that's
talked to
interesting.
Iggy. Is that y'all? Everyone wants to sit out here and talk all this shit that Iggy doing all this. But if you want to really be about that, do what John Legend said and go have a sit down conversation.
But she said already many a times before, as she's been snapped on Twitter and everywhere else, that her
A lot
knowledge
of
and history
times.
of hip hop is nobody knows what she already knows, and that she has studied and been a student of hip hop. So to think that she needs to culturally sit down, I think everybody just put her in a category because they chose to.
I mean,
Yeah.
but when
And
Nicki
she was just
Minaj
doing what she
was
do.
doing
She just
know
pop
what she
music,
doing.
it was cool.
And she's still
Yeah,
making
she
money.
was doing music
so.
that she
Yeah.
enjoyed and made money doing it.
Right.
And then everybody got mad because people was buying records.
And
Yeah.
it's not about like shooting somebody up or
No.
B words and
She
stuff that
wanted a
just
booty.
can't even
She
understand
got
what
a
they're
booty.
saying.
Like,
Maybe
why-
that's
That's
why.
true.
I don't
That's
know.
true.
Well, this started a while ago.
It's not a
though.
turned
Someone
up,
is just
you know?
piggybacking. It was she's what T.I.'s artist, or
Not anymore.
Not anymore. She
Not
was,
anymore.
He couldn't
and
take
it
the
started
heat.
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just someone just picking up where they left off.
Dupri said he still wanted her, so maybe
go.
she got help.
Go ahead.
She got
And you know
It's a lot of
we
press.
haven't heard the last of her either. I'm
Yeah.
sure of it.
Oh no,
so.
she's already said she's about to drop something. But beyond that, who else is about to drop something is Mr. Lee Daniels, because
Yes, he
we all know he
is.
got his deal with Fox, right?
did.
So he has a new pilot. Now there's no name for it yet, but it's going to be starring Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
That's big.
So that's gonna be good.
Big
Yeah.
deal.
It's a drama and it's music based again, like Empire. So she's going to be. She always plays something in a salon. She's gonna be, she's gonna own a salon, and she's gonna be kind of like she's gonna be a surrogate mother to these
girls.
three. Well, they said 3 girls, but then I saw something that there was a boy cast.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
was
yeah.
confused. Yeah.
It's like a girl group.
It's like a
from
girl
my
group.
understanding.
It's
It's
like
a
the
girl
story
group, but then I think they
Destiny
have a transgender
Yeah.
Okay.
female.
That's
Yeah.
gonna
who's
be
a
really
female
hot.
now.
That's gonna be
It'll
nice.
be hot.
Yeah, so I think that they're just trying to, and you know, Lee Daniels, what's so great about him is he always try to mix in just different cultures,
He does.
sexuality. Like he
Yeah.
brings all of that to the forefront. So I mean, you know, I think it's gonna be great. I'll be tuned in.
I'm
I'll be
excited.
tuned
I'll be
in.
there.
And it's a
I will
perfect
check
role
it
for Queen
out.
Latifah. It's both
And
of
she's
her
from Jersey,
strong
so-
things. It's music
Yes.
and salons
It's
all
all
in
of
one.
it. Music
You know what I'm
and
saying?
salon.
And they're shooting in ATL, right? I think
Yeah,
they're shooting
and
ATL.
production starts I think at the end
End
of
of
the
the
month.
month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats to
Very
him.
excited.
Shout out
Right?
to Lee.
Yes.
Boom.
He's doing
Doing it
the thing.
big.
Also, make sure you guys check out our sister site, AfterBuzz TV. Whatever your favorite TV show is, as soon as you are done, head over to AfterBuzzTV.com to check it on out. We do Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives of Atlanta, weekend. I mean, Courtney on Monday. So if you want to get rats with us, we over there.
I might have to come through.
Please do.
Oh, it is entertaining, let me tell you.
Oh, because Remy about to be on this season?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I was a fan.
Whatever.
I was a fan of Remy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Papoose.
We were.
Alphabet Slaughter. What?
I'm
Wow.
conceited. I got everything.
He's in.
Yeah, she was so hot.
Boom. So check it out. AfterBuzzTV.com.
All right,
yeah.
Jesse, moving on to Courtney.
All right, so I'm gonna take it a little more serious, or maybe comical, whichever way you want to look at it, because
It's
this
always
guy's
a joke.
all
It's
over
kind
the
of in
place.
between.
So we got Donald Trump back in the news this week, and
Surprise.
not really for the greatest of reasons, but basically he announced that upon becoming president, what he would do is basically he would do a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. And basically he was asked to sort of elaborate on that, and he kind of said it would be a temporary thing, but he thinks that anybody coming into the United States that is a Muslim needs to be barred. Point blank, period. He was asked multiple times by multiple people to sort of give him an opportunity to clarify, backtrack, do any of those things, but he stood firm. He believes that we're all being too sensitive. We need to recognize that Muslims is trying to kill us, and the only way to keep them from doing that is to block them from coming into the country. He would not clarify if he meant, like, can you come to do business here? Because there are business people that are Muslim that travel back and forth. He didn't say if you were here and then you left and you were Muslim, if you can come back.
Right.
Like, we don't really know what's going on,
He
but
did
of
say
course,
that military would be allowed. If you were in the
Military's
military,
allowed.
you were allowed to come back
Okay,
in. Yeah.
military was allowed.
New age
but,
Paul Revere.
So he's since done quite a few interviews after that. He did an interview with Barbara Walters. He hung out with our favorite Don Lemon, aka Lemon. I call him Lemon.
My
sorry.
boyfriend.
On CNN, and he just basically continued to support his reason. And the interesting part is that his ratings have been up in the polls.
They have.
He's at 35% now for the Republican pool, so he's taking 35% of the vote right now for them, so he's the front runner still. And that new numbers have not come out just yet since he made the announcement earlier this week, so we don't know if that's going to make it drop. But what everything seems to appear, including a CBS poll that was done, many Americans actually do agree with him. And they are very upset with Obama, who made a speech on Sunday, sort of talking about what's going on and what their plan is for Syria and ISIS. And he would not specifically say the Muslim terrorist threat. And they are apparently the whole Trump camp is super duper offended by all of that. Trump says that he has the historic right, basically, to do such a thing because of things like the Chinese Exclusion Act that happened in the early 20th century. Right. In addition to, we know President Roosevelt during World War II put the Japanese into Japanese internment camps, even if they were citizens and had property and all of those things, all of which we have determined were bad things to do. Yet, that is still the justification for Donald Trump, and he continues to move forward. And now Ted Cruz has moved into second place behind him, because Ted Cruz is one of the only Republican nominees who did not specifically speak out against what Trump said. All the other ones said specifically, that's a horrible idea or that's bad, whatever. Right. Ted Cruz just sort of spoke around it, and he has
gone up,
moved into second place. So that's where we're at with that.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that I'm not surprised or that he actually said it. You know what I mean? Because it's like these type of people have been existing in our country for an extremely long time. And so now he's just someone who's actually saying what a lot of people think. So a lot of times when these shocking news events that happen, I'm like, I hate the fact that I'm not shocked at the same time. You know what I mean? That cops are just killing folks, and you got someone running for president who just telling you Latinos can't be here and Muslims can't be here. The fact that I'm not shocked is just, that's what scares me the most, because it's like I have an understanding of just the type of people that actually do live in our country.
We're numb to it. It's really, because we watch it every day on TV. That's like, oh, this stereotype, that stereotype, that. So when you have a man preaching it to you, it has blown my mind. Some people who I would never even think would vote Republican or even look at Donald Trump in a serious manner.
Any capacity.
But it blows my mind how many young kids are like, no, Donald Trump is the business, and I'm just like, what are y'all watching?
Right.
They're
Why
watching
y'all
The
watching
Apprentice.
Same
That's
Way?
They're
what
watching The
watching.
Apprentice.
And I seriously
yeah.
think that is why a lot of his popularity.
But they're
has
like,
been
he
driven.
brings up good topics. I'm like, okay, he brings up what's the follow
says
through with?
crazy-
But
the
he's not
topics?
backing anything
What's
up or
the
giving the
follow-through?
information that's needed.
Yes.
And one of the things I will say that with everything that's going on in America, what perfect timing for him to say what he said about
Exactly.
banning the book. It's
Absolutely.
perfect timing. So,
Yeah.
of course, the polls are going to, go up in his favor at this
Yep.
point.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure there's so many Muslims that invest in a lot of his different businesses,
Yeah.
so it just doesn't really make any
Well, he
sense
said
to
they
me.
were his best friends.
Wow.
He's got great. He definitely
Because you
pulled
think of
the-
We heard
Dubai, one of the
that
richest
before.
cities in the
Friends.
world. I know Trump got some money
Yes,
over
he
there with
does, and
people.
he's very clear. And he specifically said that a lot of his Muslim friends agree with him.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like to have
Yeah.
those
I
find that
Muslim
really hard
friends.
to believe.
don't-
But he
Well,
doesn't have a
Kinda
plan.
Kind of like
He doesn't
that
have a
whole, like,
plan
100 preacher
yet.
thing. Like,
Right.
I would like you to produce those preachers and
Let's
produce
not
those
get a
Muslim
building
friends
of
that agree
Muslim
with
But it
him.
sounds like he spoke on something without really, figuring out
Any
what the
details,
master plan to boost. Yeah,
any way
he
to
just was
execute it.
speaking like he normally would speak on The Apprentice show or something of that nature. So, yeah.
Exactly.
And they were trying to figure out if it's constitutional or unconstitutional.
Well, yeah, there's everybody. You mean you can argue it being constitutional or non-constitutional till you're blue
But
in the
technically, what they're
face.
finding, there's a Dr. Eric Posner, University of Chicago, who is saying that it is constitutional.
It is. I
technically.
mean, technically, my opinion is that it is constitutional, but it's not in the spirit of the Constitution
Right.
at all. Like,
Right,
is it
absolutely.
illegal? No, but is it morally a good idea? Probably not.
Right.
It's like goes against everything we're supposed to stand for. And to use what we've already done in the past, which we have already determined sucked, still doesn't even apply in this case because we've never barred people based on their faith. It's
Or-
been
yeah.
national origin. You're coming
Yeah.
from a certain country for certain reasons. Like those things have happened, but not
Absolutely.
because there's, how many 100 billion Muslims in the world, and
Oh
you're
my
just
gosh.
no, nobody can come in. That makes no sense. But whatever.
We have a problem on our hands.
We're,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
afraid.
just like, how do you balance that out?
I'm
Like,
afraid.
You do not vote. For
no,
Donald
like
Trump.
balance it out. Like, how do you know someone is of that faith
right.
if they wanted to come in here and lie about it? Like,
Well,
the
that's
other
what I'm
point
saying.
of
There's
his
so
that's what I'm
many.
just like.
policy.
Yeah, are you Muslim? No.
Right.
Yeah,
There's no
because
real
you're
way
gonna
to
have the
determine it.
customs
Yeah, how would you
agent
know?
ask, and I thought, at least from my own education of reading and watching the news and that kind of thing, is that our biggest concern is actually American citizens who are being radicalized and
Right,
going
that's
to an
what- that's-
attack.
Right.
So that's not really solving the problem. Like keeping the Syrians out and actually the Syrians that come in from the refugee camps have been more screened than any
my
of us
gosh.
that already live here.
Right, that's
So
true.
it's interesting that he has no grounds for anything that he says. But if you love him, you love him, and lots of people
Do not
do.
vote.
I love the
Crazy.
some of the quotes they interviewed. I guess Jeb Bush, and he was like, "This is unhinged." That that Trump said this, and then Marco Rubio said, "Offensive. It's offensive." So I was
All
like,
of whom are like less than 10% in the
I
polls.
know. I was like, they were trying to get their quotes in real quick.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is really interesting.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Good
Yeah.
luck, Republicans.
Good luck.
Yeah.
He said he might run as a third-party candidate if he doesn't win the nomination,
Wow.
but it's looking like he is
To have
probably
a
going to
seat,
win.
several
Yeah.
seats.
It's scary.
Yeah,
Scary.
yeah. All right, moving on to more scary, horrible news.
Yeah.
For the week, Chicago has gone amok, been amok for a long time, and we're all finding out how amok it really is. So, as we all know, 2 weeks ago, the video of the 17-year-old Laquan McDonald that was shot in the street came out basically because the Chicago PD was forced to release it.
Yeah.
They were never going to release it,
year
but they were
later,
forced.
but
Yeah,
it's-
a year later.
Changed.
So that sort of has started the wheel turning even more. There were lots of protests over the Thanksgiving weekend. On Black Friday, people were blocking the Miracle Mile, and lots of people were starting to speak out. On Monday, the U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch announced that the Justice Department is going to do a civil rights investigation into the police department. Mr. Rahm Emanuel still ain't said nothing as the mayor yet. And then on Tuesday, he finally decides, okay, I'm going to speak to the city council. And he gave what some said was a very thoughtful, heartfelt address to the city council. At least all the people that were in the room said that, but all the people that were mad on the street were like, bullshit. But basically, he at least fessed up sort of and apologized for what happened to Laquan McDonald and saying that it's unfortunate that something like that happened on his watch and he will do everything that he can to fix the situation. And then, so then on Tuesday also, the police department released more footage of 6 officers beating detainee Philip Coleman.
That's crazy.
And
It's just
shocking
like-
him with a taser in a cell from 2012. Coleman died soon after, and the police attributed his death to an allergic reaction to a sedative.
As they should.
But the autopsy found that there were internal injuries, bruises, and more than 50 strikes to his body, and at least 7 taser shots. So that was another one that they were forced to release. All of this happening in about a 36-hour period, and then Illinois State Representative LaShawn Ford has introduced a bill to recall Mayor Rahm Emanuel, saying that basically, quote, "We have not seen the tip of the iceberg yet.
We sure haven't.
And voters have lost trust and confidence. People are hurt. People have died. People feel they are forgotten about in the city of Chicago." So he felt like all of his constituents were pushing for a way to dethrone Mr. Rahm Emanuel, and they're trying to figure out how they can alter the Constitution with this bill of Illinois so that they can oust him. So yeah, there you go. Chicago's still
Chicago.
spiraling.
Yeah, and I spent some time there this summer shooting Chirac, obviously, and I learned a lot about just the city of Chicago and just the level of violence that does occur there. And, you know, every day on the call sheet, Spike actually had the number of people who had been shot every day. Like, the number just continuous and killed. And the number would just continuously grow every day, just to kind of drill into our heads, like, this is a serious situation, you know what I mean? And a lot of the reasonings there is just the lack of help and the lack of protection that these people are getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From these police officers and the mayor. It's so political, and they're so concerned about their politics and their, you know, their egos, and it's like the people are just getting lost. And it's like they just don't have a voice, and it's really unfortunate because it's an incredible city. So much culture, so much just, I mean, food and life, and the people are incredible, but it's just to hear this still, you know, I mean, they're at, I think now almost 400 and something deaths.
Yeah.
Come
Murder.
on.
Murders.
Yeah,
Thousands of shootings. Like, the fact that these many people have had to be sacrificed for them to finally have an, investigation
in the police department.
How is that?
And what's crazy to me, because I went to college in Chicago, I went to
nice.
Northwestern, but I was on the North Shore.
Hey,
yeah.
So, but there were lots of students from the South Side and from the West Side,
Yeah.
and had their experiences and everything. But what's crazy is how clear-minded we all, or everybody, was in the city about how really dark and jacked up
Yeah.
the politics of the city
my
of
God.
Chicago
Yeah.
really
And
are.
it's just now
when
coming
Daley
out,
was the
yeah.
mayor-
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, it's not like it was a secret for anyone on any level that there was some major shadiness going on a regular basis for years after years after years, and that it's taken this long. It's now 2015, and it's just now kind of being looked at. Is insane to me.
Yeah, the residents definitely, of course, knew. You know, I'm from Chicago. Well, I lived right outside of Chicago. And it's just one of those things that at some point, the bad stuff is going to be revealed.
Yeah.
But what I will say is the crime rate has just, quadruple. If there's even a word for it, it's just really, really bad. But you hit on something really important, that there's not a lot of resources for the residents and the communities there. A lot of people don't even know about what's out there. So when you have law enforcement, that are taking things or measures into their own hands, and they're corrupt or beating on people, and 5 years have gone by, what do you expect?
Yeah.
The behaviors are being conditioned to be a certain way, and so they keep doing what they do.
Yeah.
So now things are coming out of the woodworks, and so now we're going to start seeing more or multiple things that are going to come out. Now, we won't get everything, but this is a start. And, it was just unfortunate to what happened to the young man. I mean, a whole year, 2 years,
year
3
to get the
to
video.
get the video out. And there are going to be more things. The investigation, we're going to find some things out. And I'm really happy, at least for my city now, that this is what is occurring. So we'll just have to wait and see. So, like, for me, my job is, what I would like to do is be able to give back to the community as best as I can, from a mental health perspective, because people don't really know what's out there for
That's
them.
true.
Yeah. So.
I think what I found the most disturbing about the video too is that I think it was like maybe 7 cops or something in the video with Philip Coleman, that all of them were black except for one of the officers.
Yeah.
First of all, and then just obviously this is a nationwide problem. I mean, Chicago's the focus right now, but
Yes.
this,
Right.
clearly we know that this is just going on everywhere with the videos. And I know that they said that this investigation also started from what happened in Missouri, and so now all these videos are popping up so much that they're really trying to hone in and get this stuff under control. But it's just we got to. I mean, this is just so out of control at this point,
Right.
and it's sad that at this point also I am not surprised by any videos that come. I don't even feel like
That's
cops
what
are
I'm
scared of
saying.
videos. You know what I mean? Like
No.
they're on video. And they
on
don't even
video.
care.
If you
Right.
go to probably every state or every city, I'm sure something will come out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
people think, a lot of, I hate to say police officers are in the positions that they're in because maybe in their, past, they were bullies or what have you, and it's a lot to do with power, control, and they get into a position. And again, there are no severe consequences immediately to someone's behavior. If a police officer beat somebody or did something that was inappropriate to a citizen, and it's brushed under the rug, you're just conditioning that behavior
true.
again.
Yeah.
So that's just, to me, what it is.
I got a chance to actually see Chirac and sit with Spike. I didn't know that though about putting the
sheet,
deaths
yeah.
at the
Yeah.
top.
Makes it feel real.
But one thing I want to kind of ask you about is we see a lot of. I love the movie because going into it, I have some friends from Chicago who had their little ifs about it. But as I watched it, I got the point. It's Spike Lee. He brings this certain level of comedy, a certain level of drama, but within all of it, you're gonna get at the end a moral of the story.
Absolutely.
And that's what I really loved about it is that I feel like this generation needs a movie like that's going to bring that type of comedy to it for them to start paying attention. But there's been also some backlash from it.
Yeah.
We got this week, I think it was Chance the Rapper who came out, and he said, "Let me be the first from Chicago to..." You weren't the first. To say, "We don't mess with this movie. You need to be from Chicago in order to tell a story about Chicago."
Interesting.
I can understand that. I disagree because I
but,
feel
yeah.
like there's lots of things in the world that we watch that no one's
Have
from.
to be Adolf Hitler to make a
Okay.
movie about the Holocaust.
Thank
I don't
you.
know.
Or also, do you have to be from the 1940s to dance like you're from the 1940s? Because you did, Chance. But
He did in that video.
yes.
Yeah.
But
He's a great
so
actor, actually.
no, I love him, and so this was really hurt me to kind of hear him say this because I just feel like he's smarter than that. But did you guys get any of that while you were filming out there? And then. What did Spike do for you guys to really kind of understand the layout of the land?
Yeah. Well, first of all, in our table reads, they brought in actual mothers who have lost their children to gun violence. So there's several nonprofit organizations there of women who are just trying to get more just control over the gun laws there. So we're in our table read listening to these women tell us about how their children were just, brutally shot down just from being outside, just from walking home from school, and young, and not even in a teenager age, some of these women. I already mentioned the call sheet. We marched. A lot of times we were with the community activists, and we marched with them, just, again, about the gun laws and the lack thereof. And then also for people who didn't get it or didn't understand what's going on, I always use it as a teachable moment. You know what I'm saying? And the first thing is I say is, okay, well, this is based on a Greek play from 411
Right.
BC. So that's one. Two, it's not a biopic on the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
For someone to say, well, you can't make a movie about Chicago, it's not a biopic on
We're
the city
in
of Chicago.
Right.
Yeah. What it is, though, it is highlighting just the high level of violence that is happening in this portion of Chicago. But let us not forget, we mentioned this in the film, there's other cities that are going through the same exact thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, I
And
thought if it was in Chicago, if you guys had filmed it in Brooklyn and it was Brooklyn rap
Somebody
or
else
whatever,
would have something.
then
Yeah.
the people from
Brooklyn,
Chicago,
or Baltimore, Philadelphia,
Yeah.
all of that.
but then Chicago would have been like, "Oh, y'all doing a movie about Brooklyn,
There's always
and we
gonna
got
be
this
somebody
on
else.
the
Yeah,
big."
exactly.
No one's ever
That's
gonna be
exact.
happy,
Yep.
And I feel-
please everybody.
It's satire, and satire is mixing
Exactly.
fantasy with reality. Are people really walking around with bandanas on their heads? No. Is there really, people moving on dolly shots? No. But that's what he adds. But when you watch Orange is the New Black, women ain't kicking it in
Right,
jail. Like,
right.
we all know that's, Django, another movie that had a lot of comical
Right.
moments.
Yes.
But slavery is not funny.
Yes.
So it's just the style of filmmaking, you know what I mean? And it saddens me that went over people's heads and they were
Yeah.
distracted by the message because, Jennifer Hudson, we all know what happened to her. Her
Yeah.
family,
That's true. Yeah.
this happened to her, so she wouldn't be in a film, that was making a mockery of that.
And she's from Chicago.
She's from Chicago.
I mean,
yeah.
She's experienced.
blew
so
my
many
mind.
actors in the film are from Chicago. Jennifer Hudson, Steve Harris, who plays Old Duke. Just so many people, that are from that city. And so to say that, oh, y'all can't be doing this,
Right.
it's just like, oh man, we did our research.
And I
we were
love
there
that you
with
guys
these
sat with the
people.
mothers, because that was another thing he said was, oh, you guys are taking away the years that these mothers have been putting together these organizations. So to know that they were
No,
working.
they were in the film. We
Yeah.
had actual.
No,
there's a
I
scene-
remember at the end, right, with the pictures.
Exactly. There's a
Oh,
scene. I don't know
excuse
if you remember the guy Spinner and who's in the wheelchair
Yep.
and he's talking about that. That's really his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these actors and these gang members, they've really lived this
that.
life.
Yeah.
He's not just getting regular old actors just pretend. No. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you have to the foundation of acting is laugh now, cry later. We know the two masks. That's acting. The story comes from an incredible Greek story by Aristophanes.
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to use it as a teachable moment. Like, this is art. This is where acting began. So he's fusing these things, and we're using rhymes. So it's like this urban Shakespearean
Yep.
rhyme thing. It's just never been done.
Yep.
You can't continue to just make the same old type of films. It can't just be a biopic. It can't just be a movie about black couples. It can't just be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
it's just shake it up. Like, do something different. And that's why I stand behind Spike and the rest of my castmates, because it's like, I want my artistry to be fearless. I want it to
I
be
feel that.
everybody going right, I'm going left. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So whether you like it or not, thanks for going to see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like too that as long as it's telling the movie is, I haven't seen it yet, but I will see it.
Yes, please go see it.
I feel like as long as it's telling the story of Chicago, then that's what's important.
Right.
Yeah.
And to bring in mothers up, I mean, you have to be able to, in order to do a show, you have to be, that's the way you feel.
Yeah.
How someone else is feeling, like sitting with them, sharing, listening to their stories, taking it all in, and that's the only way that you can, give back or give through your artistry
Yeah,
what the movie, needs. So I think that was a really good thing. So
Yeah, it's just, it's a certain style, and
Yeah.
you either like it or you don't, but you cannot deny that it didn't have a message.
The message, yeah.
You just can't
Yep.
deny that.
You walked away thinking, so make sure you guys check
Yeah.
it.
See, now I'll go see it.
Yes, Team Indigo in the building. Check it out.
All right, before we move on to our hot topics, we want to remind everybody to go to DraftKings.com, look up the code name Black, and you can get your gamble on. Do you guys play a little fantasy football at all? Do you do that during the holidays?
We're going to have to do it so y'all can get some money.
Yes,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a lot of
Let's
prizes.
come up. All right, we're gonna have to learn.
It's coming up. And y'all didn't go learn nothing.
So we doing a cleanse, and we gonna do. All right.
$10 million worth of
You
prizes.
get a cleanse. You get
You're stupid. No, there's up to $10 million worth of prizes that are available. The
Wow.
first prize is $2 million. Second prize is $1 million.
wow.
And you just have to go to DraftKings.com, put in the code name Black, and get your fancy football.
Get
on.
ready to
Wow.
Get your
Get it on.
teams
Get your
together.
teams together. Let us know if you win too.
Right.
We're taking a poll to see how many people are winning out there that are
Who's
listening
winning?
to us.
We
Let
want
us
our
know.
cuts.
All right, we're going to move on to the EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
It's like space.
That was Well, we know that January is award season, and it's quickly approaching. We're going on the end of the year, and I yesterday had I was able to go to the SAG nomination awards yesterday morning, very early in the morning.
Get your award tie
Got my
on.
award tie on.
Yes,
That's right.
you're
That's
ready.
right. So those awards will be on January 30th on TNT, TBS. And Anthony Mackie was one of the
Yep.
announcers for the nominations, as well as Anna Faris. And so there's a great list that came out this year. One of the things I'm most proud of is that NWA's, Straight Outta Compton, that
They
was
got on the
nominated. So I'm going
list.
to give a quick highlight of what some of the nomination categories are, and then you can go to the full list on euroweb.com. But the cast of NWA will compete with Trumbo, Beast of No Nation,
that was
The
another
Big
good
Short,
one.
and Spotlight for outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture. Comedy Central's Kay and Peele for Netflix, and Netflix's Orange is the New Black. They have outstanding performance by an ensemble in a comedy series. We have Idris Elba, Beast of Nation.
All right.
Yes.
Best outstanding
Yes.
performance by a male actor in a supporting role. Viola Davis, outstanding performance by a female in a drama series. She's killing on How to
Yes,
Get Away
she
with Murder.
is.
I'm still waiting for the season to come
I am
back.
too.
I was like, man.
I just watched the last one last
I was
week.
on the edge of my feet that last episode. I was like, whoa.
Left us all hanging.
Left us
Right.
hanging. Sandra is doing her thing
Scandals
with
is
that
like
record.
Scandals like a saltine cracker to say how to get away now.
Murder. Yeah.
And shout out to my girl.
She shot
That's
herself.
right.
She was gonna shoot her. Yes.
Yes. Shout out to my girl Erykah Green, who's one of the writers over there. Head writer. She's doing her thing.
Yeah.
Catch on checks.
Uzo Aduba
Aduba, yeah.
is Orange is the New Black She's outstanding performance by a female actor in a comedy series, which is amazing.
Nice.
She did great in The Wiz. Too.
Yeah.
She did
Yeah,
great
she
in The
did.
Wiz. Idris, another nomination he got for outstanding performance by a male actor in a TV movie or miniseries for Luther. Queen Latifah, we talked about her earlier for the Lee Daniels project. She's got outstanding performance by a female actor in television, movie, or miniseries for the HBO's Bessie.
Bessie.
Ah, okay.
That was great.
Wow.
It was a great film.
He was.
Action performance by a stunt ensemble in a motion picture, Fast and Furious 7.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Not mad at that.
Bring that back.
And you know, that's just a highlight of the list, but you can go to the full list as I mentioned on eurweb.com. Now, one thing that we had talked about 2 weeks ago was the lack of black women in the motion picture category. And I know that, you know, obviously you are a great actress. What are your thoughts on some of those just oversights of what you feel as some of the women who are acting in that category that didn't really get looked at? Because they were saying a lot of it is more supporting roles that the black women were in, and they couldn't compete with some of like the bigger actresses out there that are in these major movies. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are they're definitely coming. You know, as someone that's very much, you know, an emerging artist, and I'm kind of amongst, you know, seeing different scripts and things that are coming across the table, that it's coming. And there's not a greater time than to be a black actress than right now.
Praise the Lord.
I'm going to tell you right now, like 2016, 2017, the world needs to get ready. It's about to be explosive.
You're so East Coast.
I
I love
am.
it. She's like,
But she, that's good.
I'm from Boston, New York.
Right.
I hear it right now. It's coming. You know what it is.
right.
That's how serious she is.
No,
though.
but I'm
That's
letting you
really-
know, like, there's some incredible things coming. So it's cool. Y'all can have y'all little nominations right now.
Not right now. You just
Well,
wait.
and also I think that people were making a big
But next year.
But people were making a big deal
Remember
too
this
because of the fact that we came off the Emmys and we obviously
Yeah.
saw that, you know, Taraji, we saw, you know, Viola get a lot of recognition, and then it's like, okay, now these movie nominations are coming out and they're saying, oh well, there's not anybody that we really can put in this category.
Well, I mean, when we already know what it is to be young, black, and talented. You
Yeah.
know, you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to work 10 times harder than
Yes.
the next
Yeah.
person,
To
and
get
that's just
half the
the
recognition.
cards we've been dealt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I take it with a badge of honor, and I'm like, okay, I'm still gonna bust through some doors and make it
Do
work.
that.
So I approach it in that aspect. I'm like, it's cool. Y'all can have your own nomination.
Yeah.
But I'm my girl, the actresses that I look up to, like the Tarajis and the Carries and
Yeah.
all of these incredible Regina Hall, Regina King. I know that they're gonna be doing some explosive things. I can't wait to support and just be hopefully be right next to them. Angela, one of my favorites.
Speaking into existence.
Amen.
Speaking
Yes.
of existence, I just love that the standard of beauty is changing in Hollywood too.
Yes,
you know,
me
so you
too.
see all colors of culture for African Americans, and I think there's some great things to come, like you were saying.
Yeah,
and I can't wait
I'm
to see
telling
it.
you, y'all gonna be like, see, last year Michelle was saying.
Right, she called it. She put it out there.
Called it.
She called it. Well, tune in on January 30th to TNT for the SAG Awards. We'll be there, so I'm looking forward to it. I got to get my red carpet outfit on.
Get it done.
Get it going.
Six pack now after
Get
your
my
queen.
six pack out of my, detox.
Yep.
All
on
right.
the game.
Last story of today. I find this very interesting. There is a doctor by the name of, let's see what his name is here, Mark Lewis. He is a neuroscientist, and he says that addiction is not a disease, and he also does not believe in rehab. He thinks it's pointless. Now, he has written a book called Memoirs of an Addicted Brain because he is a former addict himself. And he goes into talk about how he feels that a lot of these things that are happening right now with addicts being called addicts are overrated, and that the procedures for them are all temporary. So this is one of the things that he said with his little quote here in his book. He said, his latest literary endeavor, The Biology of Desire, Why Addiction is Not a Disease, describes why labeling addiction as a disease is harmful. And he feels that this is just something that's happening that's more trendy, and it's not really going to help the people who are addicted to certain things. So this is a quote actually from his book. Defining addicts as a patient makes them passive. It makes them fatalistic, and it makes them pessimistic. If you're told you have a chronic brain disease that causes you to do all these nasty things, you don't think you'll ever get free of it. But in fact, most addicts do recover, and the statistics are very clear on that, whether they're soft drugs or harder drugs like heroin. Calling
Right.
someone an addict tends to overshadow other approaches to treating addiction that relies on much more individualized psychological methods. There are various kinds of psychotherapy, counseling, support networks, and mindless meditation mindfulness meditation approaches that are also being shown to be very effective. If you believe you have a chronic disease and so does your care provider, they're not very likely to recommend mindfulness meditation, but it's been shown to be very effective. Obviously, Dr. Keisha, you have a lot of history in this
Over to you now.
particular subject and category. What are your thoughts on him saying this about addicts?
I actually can agree with him. I don't necessarily feel that addiction is a disease. And the reason why I feel that, when you think about a disease, typically there's medication that will go along with it. I feel that addiction has a lot to do with control, urges and managing things of that nature. It's a choice. So if you look at it like it's a choice, if I want to go out and do drugs or what have you, that's a choice. If I want to stop using drugs, that's a choice. Now, again, when you talk about heroin, you have to, you can go into clinics and there's, a methadone that, people will take in order to kind of wean them off of heroin. But again, I agree to the extent that addiction is not a disease because it's just one of those things where it's something that you choose to do. And I feel like if you do get the proper care, whether it's psychotherapy, meditation, or what have you, you can change all of that. And, you can stop those urges. What I will say, too, is that people, when we talk about disease, when we talk about mental health, it's one of those things where it's not you, it's not the person. So we have to separate the two, if that makes sense. Yeah. A lot of times people will say, I am the drug addict or I am bipolar, whatever. No, it's something separate. And then once we can separate those two things, then I think that's where we can begin to make, or that's where the start is, if that makes sense. Yeah. But again, to answer your question, I do agree definitely with him, or to some extent, that, it's about choices. Yeah. It's really about choices. And I mean, just in my life experiences, I haven't done drugs personally or what have you as far as like being addicted, but I will say that people that I've come into contact with, they made choices to do drugs, to stay on the drug, and they made a conscious decision to go into treatment, get the services that they needed to get better, where someone who has a disease, sometimes they have no control over that. No. When someone is bipolar or having an episode or they're schizophrenic, they have no control over that. And in order to manage that, you get on psychotropic medication. Yeah. So that's why I can agree to to what he's saying. Yeah. Well, his problem that he also had with rehab programs in the U.S. This is another quote from his statements. But there are a lot of violations. He said treatment is inadequate. He said opiate substitution doses are wrong. The period of time for getting off of it is often wrong. Individual care is lacking. He said they have generic policies which often don't benefit people, and the medical care is a fairly small aspect of the program in general. He said 80 to 90% of the program is dominated by 12-step methodology. You also throw in a whole bunch of group sessions in which people are lectured on anything from how to stop making excuses to all sorts of rants. He said for some people it can work because they get them out of the environment and off of the drugs, so they dry out. But he said it doesn't work for long because they go back to their environments, and he said it all triggers back sometimes. They don't get the psychological skills addicts need to move on. What you need is to have, number one, is skills, and he said also to have self-regulation and be conscious in order to put their lives in better perspective. So yeah, it's tricky. I will say I have a family member, and he will say to this day, he likes getting high. This is what I like to do. And when I'm ready to stop, then I will stop. And he will do things that we would probably look at him like, wow, you're really doing those types of things or whatever, from stealing, robbing people, sleeping in homeless places, spending all of his money that he gets. But it's a choice. You know what I mean? So when you think, and again, there's so many different addictions. There's gambling addictions, there's things of that nature. But when you think about the addiction, exactly, you're talking about choices. Yeah. So the disease, that might be too hard of a word to label addiction. So yeah.
And I think I kind of get what he's saying. He's saying that people use that as an excuse.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
if you use it as an excuse, then you really aren't helping yourself to really break out of
Exactly.
it. So it's an interesting philosophy. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I just have to learn more about it. I mean, for me, like, I've have different addictions. Like, I've been biting my fingernails since I can't even remember when. But, I mean, it would be things like my mom would put stuff on my fingers to taste gross, and I wouldn't even realize I was doing it. And I wanted to stop and make that conscious. I mean, I've been hypnotized. I've done a whole bunch of things, and I still bit it. And it wasn't until, I think, a couple months ago, I went to something where it was Tony Robbins, and he was basically just, you have the decision, you have the right, you know what's good for you, know what's bad for you.
Right.
And after all these years of trying all these different things, it was like hearing him just say that to me. Haven't smoked a cigarette since, haven't bit my fingernails since, and so I think it was just you
should do a
like
testimonial.
your family member said, when you're ready, there's just going to be this moment that it clicks,
Yes.
And it's like, because I've stopped smoking cigarettes before, and you feel this antsiness with you, but I wasn't ready at that
Right,
time, and
right.
I picked it back up again. And I think this time I don't get that craving. I can be around other people doing it. It doesn't. So I could definitely agree with the disease factor of it. 'Cause
Well, and not to cut you off, that's where the coping. So when you do go into like certain rehabs or you go into psychotherapy, we give you tools so that you can cope. So instead of smoking cigarettes, we may give you something like exercising or going to meditate or go journaling or take an art class.
which is
or-
what technically I kind of have done.
Exactly.
It's funny to
Yeah.
put it in that context.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen a lot of different addictions on couples therapy. I mean, you had a cast, Big Ange, Janice Dickinson, Joe Button, Scott Stapp. The list goes on and on. So what do you find that when you were kind of watching them that a lot of them had in common as far as like even though there's different addictions of different things, like what did they have in common that you had to deal with at couples therapy?
Well, I can't really speak too much on it because we work under our licenses or what have you. But what I will say is the common theme, of course, was relationship issues.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people do not know their partners.
Yeah.
And what
Don't know them.
You think they don't
Comes
know
up.
themselves too, though?
could be,
Yeah.
that could be. But, a lot of people, they don't seek to understand their partners. They want to be understood first.
Wow.
So again, it's powerful when you sit in therapy and you have someone, a neutral party, such as myself or such as Dr. Jen, to get your partner or each other to see each other's perspectives.
Equally on the same
Exactly,
level.
exactly. But again,
makes
partners, they
Like,
don't
I'm
know
gonna
each other.
Make an apology
Let me get my
call
paper
when I get
out real
home,
quick. Like these
so-
notes.
Partners, they don't know
Yeah.
each other. They don't, and a lot of people, they don't take the time out to get to know one another. People rush their relationships.
Sure.
They jump in to relationships. Oh, I want you. I want, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And so now we have to start taking time out to get to know one another so that we can have these long lasting relationships. And I just think that's what's missing. Just take the time out. Seek to understand your partner. If we are both seeking to understand each other, we'll have a wonderful thing. But if you're just seeking to understand me and I just need you to understand me, it's not going to work.
Okay, so you say that people
Wow.
really need to get to know each other, and I know you can't put it necessarily on
I was just gonna
on
ask the
one
same.
time, but like, how long does that take? Like what
Over
would you-
2 years.
Yeah. How,
I'm
if
gonna say
someone said
over
to you
2
they want
to
get
really
married,
know
How
somebody.
long
what
would
would
you
you-
say that they need to date before they get married?
What I will say, I'm not going to answer your direct question, but people need to really take advantage of premarital counseling in general. I see people who are just boyfriend and girlfriend or just couples in general. You have to really understand a person's religious background, how they rear their children,
True.
Education,
Finances.
Past histories, and be with someone who's not going to throw that back in your face or what have you. Again, I've spoken on this before where we're trained to be individuals. So when we get together, and a marriage is supposed to be a cooperation, so it's kind of hard to start, your aspiration is my aspiration. What you want to do is what I want to do. That's hard, especially if for 20-some years you've been trained to kind of think for self, do for self, to be independent. And now I have to jump into a relationship
Yeah.
and I got to figure everything else out. that could be.
But how do you notice? Have you noticed a difference in like older couples versus the new generation?
The older couples may not be as quick to want to change.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I look at like my parents and uncles and aunts, and I look at them, and I was raised under that context. And when I'm trying to go out and date in this world, 2015, it's like. Well, but I just feel like the morals, and I don't, not morals, and also I feel like we're in this world of we see it on TV, and it's so quick, and we want everything right now that. I mean, you'll see on Instagram someone had 3 relationships and they was in love in a month.
Right.
With
Or
3 totally different
What did their
people.
Facebook status say?
No, you know what I'm saying?
Nobody goes by that anymore.
That's interesting to know.
They don't.
As far as wanting to work on it, but is that like the millennial idea of like, yeah, we can work through it, and then they aren't really still trying to pay attention to the other person, or?
You know, it just all depends. I really just think it all depends. And I think when we just spoke on addiction and mental health, you just have to be ready.
Yeah.
I think that when a lot of times people are set in their ways, and again, they're conditioned to be a certain way.
Yeah.
So if you don't start in the beginning trying to like fix things or pay attention to certain things that you know deep down in your gut didn't seem right, if you let that slide or go to the side, then it gets conditioned in the relationship. So again, I just think that it has a lot to do with, you know, if you're ready to make the necessary changes for the betterment of your relationship, then it will work. You know what I mean? But both parties have to be on the same page too, because I have couples who come in to see me, and one person or the husband may be so gung-ho, ready to do it, and the wife is just sitting there
just
like,
dragged there.
you know, or vice versa or what have you. And it just depends. But when you have both people on the same accord, and we're working as a team, the 3 of us, it's amazing. The results are, I mean, it gives me so much joy to just see couples make it, you know. And if not, if it doesn't work out, then we can walk away. Yeah, we have the tools to walk away, still be cool, and we move forward. And then throughout the whole process, you walk away where you're prepared for the next relationship. You know what I mean? And you've picked up a set of tools so that you won't repeat those same, you know,
and not holding the anger from your last
It's
one.
kind of challenging in our day and age because we have the social media. It's like people don't really want to sit and go to counseling. It's like, well, I'd rather just scroll here or post everything that I'm doing here. And it's like, is there counseling for
And they're only posting the good stuff too.
Yeah, you know,
or people are self-diagnosing
like,
through Google, or their friends are telling them what they have.
I might have done that once or twice.
I be on WikiMD.
I'm always dying, and I always have
I always have some disease, something going on.
He'll call me. He'll be like, "I had this, and
I'm like,
on the internet it
you
says."
just need a drink of water.
Right, exactly.
Like, it's fine. But on doing your job on a TV show versus like being able to do it in your regular practice, like what challenges have you found that seem to be the case more with dealing with these celebrity couples and doing it in an environment that is sort of elevated because it's on television?
You know, some celebrities, you know, feel a sense of entitlement. You know what I mean? So that could be an issue. But you know what? I really feel that it's all about the rapport, the relationship you have with a person. So for me, the challenges initially may be a person feels entitled. Like, well, if you're not going to tell me what to do, if you're not going to help me, whatever, then what am I here for? Or they feel like, you know, it's not working. What's wrong with you? Not to blah, blah, blah. But if the relationship, the therapeutic relationship is set, the rapport is built, it's a good thing, then, you know, the work can be done. Yeah. So I really just feel my goal always, or my niche, you know, is I work on building the foundation of therapeutic relationship first and foremost. It's like we'll spend time just, you know, getting to know one another, you know, just I have to see who you are. Like you talked about the mothers and bringing them in to share their story. I have to see your world. Yeah. And the only way I can do that is if I, you know, like putting your glasses on to see how you view yourself, others, in the world. And then it just kind of goes from there. And then my client has a better respect for me and the therapy process, and then now they want to move. They want to make movement. They want to, you know, put in the work. So yeah, my job is to provoke movement. That's,
I like
that's
that.
All. That's what I do.
And then if people are listening and they want to find out more, you know, have their movement provoked, where do they find you?
Yes.
Where do they find you?
What's your Instagram, girl? No.
Dr. Keisha Downey. That's DRKEISHADOWNEY. And everything is on my website.
Okay.
Everything's on my website.
And then Michelle, I know you obviously are starring in Chirac, and that movie's doing great at the box office. And you also have Last to Love coming up as well. What else? What other projects are you working on that you can tell the fans about?
I can't speak on any yet, but just know that I have some things at the top of the year that
I want to know what you've seen this year. Cause
I know,
You're sitting over
but
there like
I
a
try
box
to
of-
wait until like it's on IMDb. Then I can be like, oh well,
Yeah.
Right,
this
yeah.
is the public
Now it's for
information.
sure.
And
Uh-huh.
that's just how I protect myself. But I have some really fun things coming. I'm excited to share them.
Yay.
So stay tuned into her
Stay tuned.
social media platforms
Yeah,
and find
follow
out.
me.
And what are your social media platforms?
Instagram is just my name, Michelle Mitchenor. That's Michelle with 2 L's and MITCHENOR. And my Twitter is Michelle.
Give a little Beyonce right there.
College.
Give it a little Beyonce.
I couldn't change it. And I was like, well.
Michelle.
So just type in my first and last name. You'll find it. And I just started Snapchat, and it's just M. Mitchenor.
Yeah, Mitchenor. Okay.
Hey.
I should probably make them the same. But
That's what I had to do. I was just too
Yeah,
I know.
Everything
I
just
know.
one. Just one.
Because I can't remember passwords, so I had to do them all the same. I'm like, wait, where did I
You'll
put that
find me.
password?
Where's the password? No, the
Courtney, where
college
can we
thing
find
is funny
you?
because that's how my name exists.
Yeah. And it's just like, well,
It was.
it was a moment. And
Somebody had my name, guys, so I stuck with my I am name, Stewart Starlet, on Twitter and Instagram. That's where I'm
Yay.
at.
go on.
And
You guys
Jesse,
hit me up everywhere at DJ Jesse J.
you can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Derrial Christon, and now on Snapchat as well. And thank you for tuning in. Yeah, finally.
I gotta get with
finally.
it.
Finally.
Welcome. Yes,
We gotta
finally.
get with
We're
it.
together. Me and Michelle Snapchat each
Yes,
other
we're
the
gonna
whole time.
stop. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live this week. Be sure to check out Michelle on at Chirac in the theaters. You got a lot of time. The holidays are coming
Holidays
up.
are coming.
Tell
Yeah.
everybody to go
Date
see it.
night.
Tell your mama, your cousins,
Yes,
your uncles,
I'm going.
everybody.
Yes.
Everybody. Dr. Keisha's going. You can check her out on VH1 on Couples Therapy as well. And if you want to go, handle your
Get some
business,
therapeutic
find her on social
I'm
media.
after
as well.
I provoke this cleanse, I'm gonna provoke my mind too.
Right.
Hello,
I
come
know that's
on.
right. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
From producers Maria Menounos, Derrial Christon, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.